Humanity is still super young. The first time we started writing, according to our records, was around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Now for reference, the universe is 13.7 billion years old. Now take that 5,000 years relative to the universe's age and scale that to a 100-year human lifespan for comparison, and you get 0.0135 days, or around 19 minutes. This is how young we are. Now if we actually were a single human, and if we would live up to the current age of the universe scaled to a 100-year human lifespan, then we're still in the hospital. We haven't even come out of the birth room yet. And we're certainly still unable to see clearly, or probably at all. So no wonder our current civilization is still a mess. No wonder our current systems and structures are misaligned with the best interests and most fundamental interests of the people. No wonder our education still doesn't actually empower individuals in their own pursuits, so everyone can be most useful in their own very unique way. No wonder we're still in the process of curing all diseases, solving poverty and the biggest problems around the world. No wonder we still don't have transparent incentive structures and a direct democracy where the people are actually in power. Because we're still super young. We've only just seen the light of the day. But everything that we have already created and solved, everything that already improves our lives, our understanding, and our abilities, was created by humans, just like you and me, that were here before us. And the greatest thing we can do, also the greatest recognition we can give to all who came before us, is to never stop seeking new knowledge, is to never stop being creative and imaginative, and to never stop being constructive. Which I call, in total, natural human striving, so we can actually advance our civilization and the human experience. What I'm trying to do here is to widen our understanding through coming back to our very essence, rethinking what it means to be human, and focusing on what's most important: collective advancement and freedom. We will explore the two fundamental pillars that can lead to this world of improvement, how we can integrate them into our lives and become constructive advancers ourselves, building new value, working with great people on inspiring missions, and learning to be optimistic about the future, no matter the circumstance. I created this philosophy from nearly 10 years of personal notes, my own curiosity, endless iterations, and by doing the very things I will talk about here. This is my third version of the Advances philosophy, and if you are interested, you can find the other two versions on my YouTube channel as playlists, so you can sort of see where I came from, and also you can watch the hundreds of videos, or at least a couple of them, that helped me build and refine this understanding. I feel very excited about the future, generally, and I hope that after watching and understanding these videos, you will feel the same. Knowledge is the most fundamental good and the ultimate creation of humanity. This is what we produce, and this is what we create. This is what we produce and create through our curiosity, our creativity, and our contribution. New knowledge lifts everyone up and enables everyone to create and do everything new we know. So without possessing any knowledge or striving for it, we could not solve problems. We cannot do things. We cannot make things. Or even survive. We would constantly create problems, and we would have to build our whole understanding, our whole current understanding of reality all the way from scratch. So the most fundamental good and the ultimate creation of humanity is knowledge. Think 10,000 years into the future. If most of our civilization dies, what will matter? And the thing that will matter is knowledge and our memory of it. Only with knowledge can we actually rebuild our civilization. Without it, we might not even make it. So knowledge is essential. And the best thing that we can do, and it is actually our universal duty, is to advance our knowledge and our understanding. The way to advance our knowledge and contribute individually to collective advancement and freedom is through natural human striving, through being an advancer, through seeking natural human connections. Let's start with human striving. So this breaks down into 3 parts. First of all, our curiosity. And natural human striving is the greatest thing, and in my opinion, most exciting thing in the whole universe. We have it as children and we must never lose it. But if we did, this is also the way to get it back. Our intelligence and ability to create new out of nothing is unparalleled. First, our holy curiosity, constantly seeking deep knowledge and a better understanding, constantly pursuing new and better knowledge, lessening the gap between our understanding of reality and reality itself. Studying science, history, biographies from historical figures, and seeking to understand how the standards or the defaults in our society came to be the way they are. Which leads us to understand the current problems, where we came from, and where we are going. As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And I totally agree. Knowledge gives us power. Knowledge makes us capable. Knowledge is the secret to everything. To everything that ever was and everything that ever will be. So our task, both individually and collectively, is to seek new knowledge and new understanding. And that also, by the way, includes art, movies, music, games, and virtual realities, and memes, as these information forms can grasp and communicate concepts on a more profound level than words sometimes can. In our journey, we should always have a scientific approach to understanding, because the only knowledge we actually have is through experimentation, through trying new things, through wandering, doing new things, finding new things out, and assigning probabilities. So everything is just a probability, actually. Some things are more likely than others, and only exist until proven wrong with something better. And that is really the glory of science and our existence. That we and our knowledge are ever evolving and infinite. Embracing this fact, collectively, will unleash and accelerate progress like we have never seen before, solving long-lived problems and improving life for everyone on Earth. I actually believe that. As an individual, we want to never lose our curiosity. We want to keep exploring and finding new things out, thinking critically, understanding how things fundamentally work. We want to understand our history. This helps us understand the current nature of humanity, where we came from, and where we're going as a civilization. This helps us understand the nature of humans, which problems exist, and which discoveries need to be made, which advancements are due, and what the latest creations are. It allows us to keep up with the pace of change, and also anticipate the next leaps. This gives us a better understanding of the reality we all find ourselves in, and enables us to blaze our unique lights and be as constructive as we can be. This way, we can identify possible futures that we find exciting and devote our time and energy to one or a few of them to make them happen. Second in human striving is creativity and imagination. This means coming up with new and better ways of doing things, imagining a better future. Imagination rules the world. Imagination is our superpower. And the most value actually lies in creative and independent thinking, in our own imagination. And as a result, having unique insights and better ideas that we can all build on. Coming up with new and better ways to provide value, solving problems, saving people time, enhancing our productivity, and enhancing the human experience. Using our imagination, studying a lot, trusting our instincts, taking time to think things through and conceptualize. And the third one, or the third piece, or the third point in human striving is contribution and service. And that means getting things done, working very hard, getting our ideas actually expressed out into the world, actually advancing the world, actually doing good, not just thinking about it, but actually doing it. Contribution and service. And that was human striving. But I said there were two pillars. There's human striving on the one hand and human connection on the other. So the other important pillar that allows us to advance our knowledge is human connection, which is appreciation and respect. Appreciating people for who they actually are. Looking for the essence of people and their actions and what they're actually doing or trying to do. Not projecting from the outside or, projecting weakness on them. But appreciating and respecting, understanding deeply. And this is how we advance our knowledge. Through human striving and human connection. This leads us to collective advancement and increasing freedom for all. And we must do it. We actually have no choice, because there's only growth or decay in the universe. Either we're growing and expanding our existence, or we're dying. And one of the best approaches is also to never get weak, is thinking lightly about ourselves and deeply about the world and the universe. Being less me-focused and more us-focused. Because our actions are what matters. The advancement of knowledge is what matters. Also, when you look in society, the happiest people are the ones that love their mission, their kids, their team, more than they love themselves. And the unhappiest people, on the other hand, are the ones that obsess about themselves rather than aspiring for something bigger. And what gives us the ultimate meaning is effectively being constructive, having inspiring missions, building an amazing future, and enhancing life for everyone. Human striving and betterment and advancement, combined with human connection, with deep human connections, is the ultimate fulfillment, period. Also, we have to obsess more over ideas and knowledge than over people and emotions. True enlightenment and transcendence can only come as a result of deep human striving. That is deep curiosity, deep creativity, and deep contribution. And also the other pillar, from deep human connection. That includes deep respect and deep appreciation for the actions of people. Now take a moment and look around you. The world is full of problems and opportunities for improvement. If you look closely, it is really a mess. And a ton of things that don't even exist yet. So a lot to do. And also, every time civilization moves a step forward, it finds itself in a new environment with new opportunities, new problems, new knowledge to build on. And where old and outdated thinking has to move on. Even in a post-scarcity society where all problems of the people are solved and all needs of the people are met, even then you can always, and we can always create things and new things and advance civilization. In such a civilization, advancement then happens through different things, through new arts, new activities, new movies, new experiences, new revelations, and new creative pursuits. Because there are infinite ways of doing things, and infinite angles to take. Also, the quest to understanding the universe will likely go on indefinitely. So, we have to always stay curious. We have to study the world and pick individually what we want to solve, improve, and create, and then do it. We have to be a participator, a social benefactor, and not a drainer. There are infinite ways to do things better, cooler, nicer, and more exciting, and always will be. Becoming an advancer, or one could also say, becoming life. First of all, as an advancer, we totally embrace the two pillars that lead to collective advancement and freedom: our natural human striving and our natural way to appreciate and respect other human beings. That is human connection. As an advancer, we fundamentally understand that the origin of true value comes from our unique curiosity and our unique ideas. It comes from our independent thinking, creativity, and imagination. From having unique and new insights and finding new solutions to problems. And the actual creation of value then comes from our agency, our energy, our critical thinking, our intelligence, and ultimately our ability to make things happen in the real world. So, having bold ideas and bringing them into the world. And what will help us is knowledge, a lot of it. Also, improving our communication skills, increasing our intelligence as well as our emotional intelligence, having deliberate intensity and focus in what we're doing, while being flexible when necessary. As an advancer, we are constructive. We solve problems. We try to do the right thing and make the future exciting. Therefore, we naturally create that kind of hope and excitement about the future. We are deeply curious, seeking deep knowledge through having a scientific approach to understanding. As an advancer, we focus on lessening the gap between our understanding of reality and reality itself. So whenever we're doing research, we go in with a hypothesis that we can then go on and test. We focus on things that without us wouldn't get done, that no one else is doing, but that is highly relevant for the advancement of our civilization. If we get a lot of opposition for what we're doing, and we're doing the right thing, that is usually a good sign. Then we have to embrace what people dislike about us. And then what we're doing is something that is highly meaningful. That is good confirmation. Because if we do something that is already well known and understood, we wouldn't get any opposition. We only get opposition for actual advancement and new things. Because most people don't like change, even if it's better. But like I said, we have no other choice. Because there's only growth or decay in the universe. And because life is a constant battle against entropy. As an advancer, everything that we do gets better. At least we aspire to make that. Because we're optimizing for improvement. Everywhere where we are, Everything as a result aspires to get better. Not worse, better. Better for the benefit of all. As an advancer, what matters is action. What matters is resilience and determination. And what matters is a high tolerance for failure. Learning from it as much as we can, and then adjusting our thinking and changing our behavior. Adjusting our core assumptions and understanding what we did not understand before. Also, never giving up, moving fast, getting things done and actually expressed into the world. Never losing momentum, and also never getting complacent, because this is deeply morally right and meaningful. We always ask ourselves whether we're doing things that are relevant for the world as we see it evolving. So we got to solve all problems that come our way. And actually, life's challenges are like missions in a video game. We need to complete them. From the beginning, we got to solve all problems and challenges that come our way. They are one of the best things for us, because that is when we learn and grow the most. So we have to embrace them and look forward to them. They are our greatest gifts for growth and improvement. Also, the more we do, the more we learn. Our doing generates relevant knowledge and data. And the hardest possible path is the most fulfilling. The truth about failure is that if we don't fail sometimes, then we don't risk enough. So we have to keep doing stuff, keep risking stuff. And we need to be very tolerant with failure and see it as an opportunity to learn and get better, because that's actually what it is. Some people say the path to success runs through failure, and it's totally true. And basically also failure is irrelevant unless we die, unless, it's death, or unless it's so disastrous that we cannot recover from it. Also, innovation and doing new things, actually advancing the world, it requires experimentation. Otherwise, we're not doing anything new. And if we're doing something new, we have to be ready for being misunderstood. And also, there's no risk. Risk is unreal. Risk is unreal unless it's death. But there's no risk. Just images people create and reinforce in their head, in their mind, and then go on and agree among each other to keep themselves from living. This is actually what happens every single day, even in this moment. Life is supposed to be challenging. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. The best things are hard. New things are new because no one did them before. Easy things don't take you anywhere, so easy is meaningless. And it's also generally not a good sign if someone has an easy life. Because, as we already know, there's only growth or decay in the universe. Plus, in striving and growing, we should never lose momentum, because losing momentum can kill us. We can lose momentum so much that we cannot actually recover from it, because we got too complacent and too comfortable. So never give up, and never ever stop fighting for what you want to see in the world, for the change that you want to bring. And we never become complacent, because complacency will kill us and make life infinitely boring. But life is here to be lived, cherished. Life must be infinitely exciting. This is what gets most people. If they become successful, they get complacent or focus too much on their emotions. Our emotions are not that important as well. What is important is what we do, our actions. Emotions follow actions. Our accomplishments and our service will make us feel proud and accomplished. Deep human striving for uniqueness and contribution, plus deep human connections by appreciating and respecting people for their essence and their actions. These are the only real things. Because this leads to a future of freedom and collective advancement. Temporary pleasure and happiness is not real. These are traps that are usually used against us. Also, we waste our emotions mindlessly for fear, anger, hatred, the reinforcement of weakness. Instead of channeling our emotions toward our inspiration, our imagination, our curiosity, and our creativity. The greatest rewards and the greatest fulfillment comes from the doing and from real, tangible improvement, from blazing our unique lights. And there are infinite things to do for everyone. And using our emotions for productive measures is what will unlock the true potential of humanity. We have never experienced it before, but once we do, it will be truly magical. Also, we should never come from a place of lack. Things in civilization have never been better. We should always come from a place of abundance towards an even bigger place of abundance. Our mind also has no boundaries. It has an infinite curiosity, infinite creativity, and infinite imagination. Boundaries usually come from the external. Sparks of despair, instead of sparks of inspiration, usually come from the external. So we need to embrace our high natural energy, high natural intelligence, and high natural agency. People are also usually not fearful or anxious or hateful. This is instilled in them through bad and weak leadership. Naturally, humans are very active, very creative, and very capable, with the ability to think critically, solve problems, while being emotionally intelligent, with wonderful sparks of inspiration. Our imagination is our greatest superpower. We have to use it and build an amazing future. This is the most real and most exciting way to live, because it perfectly aligns with our active and intelligent nature. We're here to strive and deeply connect with people in the united battle against entropy that surrounds all life and everything around us, and also in the creation of an exciting, hopeful, and amazing future. This is where we have to unite. That is perfectly aligned with the best interests of people, our future. So everyone can blaze his own light, his own unique light, in his own unique way. Life has to be exciting, and it is only exciting if we make it exciting. So we have to keep striving through our curiosity and wonderment, through our creativity and imagination, and through our contribution and our constructiveness. And we have to keep seeking deep human connections through appreciation and respect, which results in collective advancement and freedom for all, and which will lead us to our ultimate truth. In this knowledge piece, we will go over building new value. First of all, what is value? Something is valuable if it is useful, if it solves a problem, if it does good for the world, if it saves time, if it enhances the human experience, or all of them. If it allows us to do things faster, simpler, better, more efficient, with a better outcome. So we can focus more of our time on what's actually important. Because time is our most important resource. It never comes back. It's gone forever. That is value. Where to start? A good approach is to start creating value for ourselves and our fellow humans, starting by solving the problems in our immediate environments, creating a perfect order, and then gradually expanding from there. Doing things just all the time and generating new knowledge and data. Also, by starting in our immediate environments, we gain a good initial understanding of what value actually is. Because, let's be honest, it is not well taught in our civilization. Another good idea is thinking about how can we actually be useful, or how do we want the future? Yes, how do we want the future to be? And then imagining it in as much detail as possible. How do we want the future to be? Through human striving and being curious, we're constantly receiving new inspiration, so we have the capacity to imagine an amazing future that advances civilization and the human experience. We have the capacity. And then once we do that, we work our way to our products, our experiences, our arts, never thinking of a single niche or something like that, but thinking of making it useful for all of humanity, at least striving for it. Money is not important, advancement is. This has the most value and fulfillment anyway. Then, before building new value, we should make sure that what we're doing excites us and inspires us most. A good way is to really ask ourselves, personally, what would make the future better? Thinking about what interests us most and what we find most exciting. Thinking about how we want the future to be, what problems and misalignments we want to have solved. How could we make life better? What future would truly excite us personally? Or, if we're not satisfied with the current developments in an area, making it better. And in the process, always thinking independently, avoiding looking at what others are doing. Never doing things that are seen as good by society, but doing things that we see as important. Coming up with our own ideas. This is also where the most value lies. In single-mindedness and coming up with new insights to making things fundamentally better. And also, we are already differentiated by nature. And we should stay naturally differentiated. I mean, we humans. Otherwise, we'll be very replaceable. Lots of other people will be able to replace us if we begin to do the same things others are doing. So the most value for the world and ourselves lies in our own unique path. That also means thinking or never thinking from analogies or based on traditional education or business models, but thinking fundamentally, aspiring for the truth, seeking the best ideas, looking at the incentives, seeking to understand, never thinking that something is not possible if it is in fact possible, and coming up with new insights, trends, or developments that most don't see coming yet. Creating markets, new markets, or improving existing ones by an order of magnitude. Building something that is ahead of the curve by envisioning a better future and anticipating where the world is going by understanding history, science, the current advancements, and then positioning ourselves in front of the next wave instead of catching the current one, and building on foundational principles. And while we're doing that, we should always focus on clarity and conciseness in what we're doing, improving and adjusting our thinking every time we have better knowledge, Humans are made to build the future. It's in our nature to be curious. It's in our nature to seek to understand, to improve, create, and grow. The missions we go after and spend our time on must be inspiring for us, so we can build something meaningful and actually affect change. Okay, now let's move on. What is a company? A company is a team of great people that strive together towards an inspiring mission, to create new value for the world, to solve problems, make things more efficient, save people time and money, and just fundamentally make the world a better place. Some companies are misaligned with that fact because they focus too much on money and on unimportant things, but the more we can align ourselves with advancement, the better. And remember this, the easiest companies to build are hard companies. Easy companies are hard because you'll only get bad people. And there's low potential for actual impact. So easy companies are hard, and hard companies are the easiest ones. Also, one thing that is also very important to understand is that it is not about the amount of resources or the amount of money that we have to go for our missions. Because in reality, big companies and large corporations with a lot of resources are not very good at creating new things and making big leaps. In reality, it takes independent individuals to create a better and more exciting future. In fact, if you look at history, mostly individuals and smaller teams affect the change. Individuals and dedicated teams that are willing to do whatever it takes, because if they do nothing, either nothing will change or change will be bad. And large companies struggle with having an impact because they simply have too much people and there's too much bureaucracy. So they're way too slow. And this is also where startups shine, is where they have an advantage over big companies. And it is exactly in the advancement of our civilization. This is where startups and small teams, individuals can shine. When we decide to go on this path of an advancer, which is a good deal, by the way, and very rewarding, because you're blazing your own lights, your own unique lights, you're embracing your natural curiosity, your creativity and constructiveness, you're appreciating other human beings and their contributions and what they're actually aspiring for, while building something of deep value for the world. So it is a good deal, but we need to make a long-term commitment. So we never, ever give up. Because it's way easier to not give up if we do what we want and are fully committed. Also, only then we can actually provide new fundamental value to civilization and actually affect change in a good way. Because great things are never short-term projects. In reality, the best and most constructive companies in the world are at least 10, 15, 20-year projects. And at best, our visions about the future are so big that they expand our own lifespan. But not too far ahead that we cannot start now. It must be sort of immediate enough. So the world's ready for it, and the technology's ready for it. And there's sort of, the people's minds are ready for it. But with a long view vision behind it. Most new companies don't make long view commitments. Also, most new companies are way too early than too late. They enter the market when the world just isn't quite ready for the technology. They aren't quite ready for the products. And then they give up. Right before it would have kicked off. Or another company launches like 6 months later and immediately kicks off after they have shut down their own company. So most companies, and by the way, this is also why most companies are insignificant, through short-term horizons, misalignments with true advancement, and bad timing. Through this combination, they find themselves in an environment, in a place with only very little to no impact. So we have to make a true commitment and only focus on what we want to do. Even if great other ideas come our way, we truly focus on finishing what we have started. And if great other things come our way, we put them on our list, or we check how they might align or extend the existing visions. But that decision of commitment, that will lay this foundation for us to make the best possible decisions and to actually achieve our missions. Now, when we build new value, we focus on being as constructive as possible and providing real grounded value. We have to keep in mind that it has to be productive, constructive, it has to be useful, it has to solve a problem, save time, improve the customer experience, enhance productivity, efficiency. That is the most important thing when building new value. It has to improve things on a fundamental level and not just on the surface. That's why also when we do things, we always think fundamentally and question everything. We should optimize always for changing the lives of people. That should always be in the back of our mind. The second most important thing is the experience people have with our products. Making sure it is as compelling as possible, aesthetically most pleasing, and great to use. We should always create a great experience that people are excited about and it stays in their minds. If we make a compelling product, people will want it and people will tell others. And this is how our company grows. In fact, only then we actually have a company. So, how to get to great new products? Great new products are based on insights that most players systematically overlook. And to find those new insights, we have to think fundamentally, we have to understand, and we have to ignore analogies. We have to always think what is most likely to be true and treat everything as a suggestion. Questioning everything, thinking for ourselves, building our own understanding and view of the world that is closer and closer aligned with reality over time. And then making our own discoveries through this approach that can then lay the foundation for great new products, for great new experience, for great new art. And always asking ourselves, in that approach, which problems are not solved yet? Which problems are overlooked? What is overlooked in the attempt to solve a major problem? What should exist in the future? Those are the kinds of questions to find those insights that can lead to great new products. But also generally, having a deep curiosity and seeking deep knowledge will reveal many of them. Then, making it happen. As we build our products, we need to make sure to get into all the details so we truly understand everything, what works and what doesn't, and so we get more information and data as we build our products. And the funny thing is finished products almost never come out the exact way we imagine them. Because when we envision them, we simply don't have all the information for how it is actually going to work. We learn while building it. We learn while getting new data. We learn from failures, iterating, and ultimately improving our initial design. And finished products often seem extremely simple. This is also, by the way, when you know you have something great. But to get to a simple, elegant, new, and compelling product, the path is extremely complicated. But in every of our stages of product development, we move quickly and decisively. We get things done. We don't rely too much on analysis and more on our taste, our feel for aesthetics, and our intuition. And making sure we move fast, so we always generate new data from failures, new knowledge, and data we can learn from. And then once we have more information, we begin to delete stuff, cutting unnecessary parts, so a product becomes simpler and better over time. And we don't hold back on cutting too much. It's actually better to cut out more and then learn which parts are necessary than cutting too little, than cutting out too little and then having a worse product. And it usually takes 3 iterations to make something great. But it doesn't stop there, obviously. But after 3, we sort of get into the sphere of good. But probably not great yet. So we keep innovating. Keep coming up with new and better ways of doing things to implement. That doesn't mean we should fill our product with feature after feature, or that we should implement every piece the customers want, but it does mean that we should keep looking for new insights, keep getting more information, staying curious all the time, and fundamentally improving our products. Because we're the ones who have the big picture. We're the ones who decide what actually improves the customer experience with our vision and what actually makes the product better. And if we are misaligned on that, we must pivot slightly to make sure our product does what it's intended to do and serves. Now let's go through the points that lay the foundation for growing and being able to scale the company so we can have the biggest possible impact. First, our product must be new and unique. So it must be advanced in some way. So other people and other companies cannot copy it easily. There must be a gap between the state of the art and our products. This is necessary so we can actually fulfill our vision and reinvest in the further advancement of it. Second, our product must improve with scale. So our competitive advantage grows over time, and so competing players have a hard time catching up. Through better technology, for example, through lower prices, through economies of scale, through better insights over time, better experience, through a larger number of users. And the same is true for our margins, as they should increase with scale as well for later innovation and growth cycles. And third, our products and the general appearance of our products, including every single touch points the customers have with our product and with our company, should be aesthetically most pleasing, because this helps people to remember our company in sort of a good light. Now, when getting our first customers, we have to go where potential customers are and do things that don't scale first to get those first users. Also, we should have no marketing budget. We should invest all of it instead in making our products better. Also, people must choose us intentionally. because our products are good and great and useful and not for some other reason or artificial attention through marketing. So the best way to grow is through word of mouth. Only then we actually have a business and a company. And only then we can grow and invest in further advancements of our vision. So we should not waste our time on marketing strategies, audience segments, etc. The most important thing is building compelling products. All right. Now, when it comes to funding and raising money, we should always have our first big equity rounds as late as possible to keep as much equity as possible for later innovation and growth cycles. We should always try to make money ourselves first, or working with credit or other solutions, rather than giving away equity in the beginning, pre-launch or right after launch, because we obviously don't have a decent or reasonable valuation yet. And therefore, we should only raise big money for equity as soon as we have a reasonable valuation. So we don't give away too much. And so we have enough equity for later innovation and growth cycles. Additionally, we should partner up with investors that can see the long-term potential of the company and how our market will grow in the next 10 years. Okay, so we partner up with people who actually understand what we're doing. And so they treat us fairly. And last but not least, as an advancer, we invest heavily in the development and fulfillment of the mission, building great products, telling customers about them, creating the growth wave, and repeating the cycle. We keep questioning the efficiency and making sure we don't become too bloated, that we don't spend too much time on marketing and finance, and spend more time on making our products awesome as best as they can be. Things must get done, so we make fast growth and progress, and bringing our products into the world our main priority, while maintaining growth and momentum. Now let's talk about advancer teams. Advancer teams form only around exciting and fundamentally constructive missions. And like I said before, it is way easier to start a hard company than to start an easy company. Because we get way better people, it's easier to recruit, it's easier to get funding, it's easier to build, because you can imagine and build the future from the ground up. And you have less competition, sometimes even none. And also, small teams of great people, of great intelligent people, only small teams, only those kind of teams change the world. Large teams are simply too slow. And the most intelligent people in civilization are more than 100 or more than 1,000 times more productive and insightful than large groups of normal people. Also, groups without a goal or without a compelling mission usually look for acceptance within all members of the group, or you can also say they look for consensus. So direction and vision is fundamentally important. And so is great leadership. Otherwise, there's just chaos and there's entropy. Entropy takes over. There's no direction. And so vision and leadership really matters. That's very important. And great leaders empower people to shine and do work that is bigger than themselves. Also, great leaders are selfless and put their focus on their team and the mission. Great leaders work the hardest and set the standard for the whole company. And people will find great leaders a bit harsh at times. But as a leader, our goal is not to be liked. The mission is the most important thing. And we must lead the way. We must lead the way in a way that increases hope and excitement about the future. And building the future is supposed to be hard because it doesn't exist yet. No one has done it before. If someone has done it before, then it wouldn't be new and it would likely not be as meaningful. But we have to make it happen. We have to build the new future that doesn't exist yet. We encourage our team to challenge the status quo and bring fresh ideas to the table. And we foster a culture of advancement and merits. The best ideas win no matter what. And the mission is the most important thing. In recruiting people, we look for extraordinary people with constructive track records and or great potential. The best people are usually young, agentic, with high energy, and very intelligent. We hire the best people for the best salaries than pretty good people for good salaries. And regarding the location, where we actually work as a team, regarding the location of our team, it is incredibly important to have our own HQs, where we work in person. HQs are necessary to achieve a mission with a team. Otherwise, the spirit is just lost. People need to be fully committed. Either people are on the bus, on the ship, or off the ship. Full commitment or nothing. The structure should be flat. We always have just one person in charge of at least one area, and we have low hierarchies. And information can flow freely, and we never get an eye of our mission. We move fast, and the mission, as I said, but it is incredibly important, is the most important thing. Beware of misaligned structures. Here's some things to watch out for, and that you kind of see on repeat when you look at history, and that's sort of ingrained in human nature. Okay, but the first thing we should watch out for as advancers is that we have to be careful with all people who oppose progress and who oppose advancement and who oppose human flourishing and who also don't let the best ideas win. But, where the mightiest or the weakest wins, but not necessarily the best ideas, which is important in order for us to make things fundamentally better. And these are usually people who don't use their mental energy, who don't think things through, who don't truly understand what's actually better. And as we know, being an advancer requires mental energy. It requires mental strength. Because we're constantly iterating, we're constantly seeking new and better knowledge. And when you look at history, when there's sort of a period of slow productivity growth, or where less people are constructive and advancing civilization, then that means that there's some force within society that is stopping them. And usually it is outdated power structures, including deliberate bureaucracies and outdated thinking. And or it is a time where weakness is reinforced rather than strength. When weakness is reinforced, you see a rise in complacency, and you see a rise in people putting an overemphasis on emotion and feelings. Also, people increasingly conflate the appearance and feeling of goodness, seeming good, and status games, rather than actually doing good, rather than the reality of good, rather than actually solving problems, rather than actually improving things on a fundamental level. You also see a rise in low intelligence, low information people. Plus, there's an unnecessary complexity in the results, which hides incompetence, usually, or stupidity, or people just fundamentally don't know what they're doing. But when strength is reinforced on the other side, there's progress, There's high productivity and simplicity in our results, which comes obviously from critical thinking. It comes from seeking truth. It comes from expanding our knowledge through doing and building new things. Weak people are guided by emotion and fear. Strong people are guided by intelligence and new and better knowledge. Weak people get their energy from emotion and feelings and feeling good rather than from knowledge and improvement, where the strong gets their energy from. And in reality, the strong are the only real good people because they actually do good things. They actually improve civilization. The weak just tries to avoid them and is therefore more egoistic. And all the things the weak say about the strong, they're usually themselves. And they do this only because they lack it. They're really talking about themselves when they complain, because talk is self-betrayal, isn't it? No strong one would do this. The strong one would focus on what's important, on progress, on solving the problem, on contributing, on service. The more weak people, the more weak people come together, the more their weakness gets reinforced. This also applies to power, by the way. When weak people get power, the weakness and bad thinking and egoism is just going to get reinforced. Meaning more power doesn't necessarily make them better, it actually makes them worse because it reinforces their bad tendencies. Furthermore, we should beware of education that makes us think that the pie is fixed and that we have to take away from others in order to contribute, in order to be useful, in order to provide. But this is fundamentally wrong. The pie is not fixed. The pie has always grown, and the pie will always continue to grow unless we have an internal force that is stopping people from being productive for civilization. And usually it is outdated power structures and outdated thinking that has to move on. What matters in society and in civilization is how productive we are for civilization and as a civilization. If everyone is doing useful things, solving problems and advancing our knowledge, everybody benefits, obviously. And everybody feels how life and how our experience is getting better month after month. And there's this optimism and hope about the future. Suddenly we see opportunities everywhere. This is collective progress. If you win, I win. It lifts everyone up. And as I said before, money is not important. Usefulness is, advancement is. Then money will never be a problem. And we must also always beware of thinking that money is the most important thing, because society makes us think that very easily. But true wealth is not assets or money. True wealth is being young. True wealth is having the freedom to be curious. True wealth is having the freedom to be creative and constructive, to have ideas, energy, and agency. This is true wealth. True wealth is leaving your own trail of existence and having benefited the world and the people you care about. Money will never bring such fulfillment as this. People who chase money often have the least amount of freedom, the least amount of fulfillment. But as advancers, we cherish our freedom, and we cherish our freedom to advance. We also avoid generalized education, because all education is basically indoctrination, unless it is fundamentally aligned with us, or unless it fundamentally adapts to us and empowers us in our own pursuit, or if it only teaches the fundamentals of reality, of the laws of nature, of science. Generalized education makes everyone think the same way. Generalized education makes everyone replaceable, which has no value for civilization. But as advancers, we build our own understanding, based on science and good explanations that are not subjectively variable. Coming up with our own ideas, testing them, learning from our own mistakes, and iterating. Generalized education promises to give us shortcuts, but we should never take them. The most value comes from creative and independent thinking and advancing civilization, making things fundamentally better, and embracing the hard path, embracing doing new things that have never been done before. Embracing our own curiosity for knowledge and the new, creativity and imagination and actual contribution is what will make us irreplaceable. All right. So, we must beware of societies using our feelings against us. We should always think critically and seek knowledge and understanding. Good. Let's come to the end. The future must be exciting, and the future will only get better if we actively make it better. And we can all do so through human striving and human connection. We are here because we are meant to shine, to blaze our light and our own trail of existence, to do our own thing in our own very unique way. And if more of us focus on collective advancement and freedom through human striving and human connection, we can bring our civilization into an exciting future where everything adapts to the best interests of the people and empowers them in their own pursuits, ultimately liberating all people in the world to be curious, creative, and constructive themselves. We have to be optimistic about the future, never ceasing from building and creating new things, being constructive, and generating new scientific knowledge and understanding through our individual and collective efforts, leading to advances in our civilization. This is very exciting, and this strength can reinforce more strength. But if we are weak, if we let ourselves get distracted all the time, create problems and build structures and systems that are not in the best interests of all, if we continue to think that the pie is fixed, this thinking will also reinforce itself and amplify into a worse future of deep and complex bureaucracies, conformity, dependence, surveillance, increasing rates of autism, too heavy focus on emotions, entitlement, and constant reinforcement of weakness, and the deliberate undermining of human potential. And I think that alone is worth reigniting our human essence and striving together towards a future of collective advancement and freedom, leading to infinite potential and a win-win situation for all. Thank you very much, and let's work together on this amazing future. I can't wait.